Hi guys, welcome to my second video. Thanks so much for all the views on my last video. I couldn't believe it was up for like 3 days and I got like 99 views. So wow, yeah, that's really cool. Again, this is filmed on my iPhone. No luck with the camera as of yet, but I am working towards it. And I didn't want to leave it too long before a second video, so again, bear with. And yeah, here we go. So okay, so I've given it a lot of thought about what I want my second video to be about, and without the use of a camera at the moment and someone to film or help me film it, it's going to be quite awkward for me to do anything about like travel hacks, life hacks, that sort of thing. So I thought that in this video I would talk about cerebral palsy and my experience with driving. Or in my case, learning to drive and taking my test. Yeah, so just to be clear, if it wasn't on my last video, I have a ataxic CP, which means without order, movement without order. So my movements can become quite jerky. I do get the odd spasm, a lot of muscle tremors, and my balance and coordination is completely shot. If anyone that knows me, see me walking down the road, they definitely know it's me. 100% they know it's me. In fact, I walked into a recycle bin on my way to work yesterday. So yeah, that proves how bad my spatial awareness is. Yeah, so I've been learning to drive for 2 years now, and I've took my test once. I started off in a manual car, but I really struggled with quite a few things to do with the manual car. First thing I really struggled with was changing the gears. Not knowing when to change gear, more the physical motion of changing the gear itself. My left hand is slightly affected by my cerebral palsy, as you can see. It stays sort of like this a lot of the time. Yeah, so actually pushing the gear back and forth, side to side, proved quite challenging, and it really inflamed my shoulder quite a lot. The second thing that I struggled with in a manual car was the clutch and clutch control. With me, both my legs are affected by my cerebral palsy, but my left leg has always been the worst one out of the two. And I found that using the clutch itself and having to push and pull on the clutch constantly was a real struggle. I also have a lot of ligament damage in my feet as well, so it would really inflame that quite a lot, and it would be quite painful for me. So after about 18 months of driving in a manual, I decided that it would be better for me to move over and drive in an automatic. So I changed driving schools to drive and learn in an automatic car, which at first worked a lot better. But the one thing the only thing I had problems with was the driving instructor that I had. As a lot of you probably know, there are a lot of people out there that are very ignorant towards disability, and they like to make us feel bad for things that we can't necessarily help. And before I say this, I just want to say I put over 110% of my effort every lesson to try and learn and get better at things and do it right. But my instructor for the automatic was awful. He was just awful. He would shout at me. He would tell me that I'd do something, it'd be wrong, so I'd do it the other way and it'd be wrong, so I could never win. So okay, for example, there's a national speed limit roundabout near my house. Obviously, you slow down slightly on approach in case there is a car coming. So I was always told don't go up that road any faster than 40 miles an hour because there's a roundabout, and even though it says national speed limit, you won't have time to stop, which makes perfect sense. But if I drove around there at 40 miles an hour, I was going too slow. If I approached the roundabout any faster, I was going too fast and I was a danger to another car. So I really couldn't win. He also said to me one lesson, I understand you have a condition. I understand that your condition affects your balance, your spatial awareness, and it's caused by brain damage in a part of your brain that controls your movement and coordination. But to be honest with you, you're not trying very hard, are you? To which I was mortified. I was absolutely mortified. For God's sake, I mean, I wasn't even supposed to ever be able to walk or talk or work or have any mental capacity, and I'm sitting in a car doing my absolute best to learn, and here's this complete and utter idiot telling me I'm not trying very hard. What an insult. Yeah, he was not my driving instructor for very long. I left him and considered going back to the manual instructor, but I knew that it wasn't the best thing for me because of struggling with the gears and the clutch. And during manoeuvres also, the gears just got in my way. So I found a new automatic instructor, and I'm still with him now, and he is absolutely brilliant. He is the best instructor. Yeah, he's just so good. But my confidence has taken a real knock in driving since the other instructor, and the way that he's treated me, the things that he'd said to me, especially about my having cerebral palsy and not trying very hard. So I'm still sort of learning 2 years later. I've had one test attempt which I failed, although I was a nervous wreck and someone did completely cut me up when coming out of a road, so obviously, you know, these things happen. But yeah, even switching over to an automatic car, I've still found there are a lot of things that I still struggle with, even after 2 years of learning. One, planning ahead, planning what I've got to do next. With some things, I tend to just do without thinking about it, which has taken a long time to get to that point. But most of the time, I always end up doing it late. So I'll approach and I know I've got to be in the left lane, but I never go over to the left lane until it's too late, or I signal too late, even though in my head I'm thinking, right, I have to signal. By the time I've thought that and then the message is relayed through to my limbs, it just doesn't always get there in time. I don't know if that is due to my condition. Maybe the signals just aren't getting through, I'm not sure. But that's one thing that's really, I'm finding quite frustrating actually. The other thing, my spatial awareness, although is majorly improved since the days of driving around a car park and not having a clue what direction to go in, is still not quite where it should be for driving. I find it really difficult, especially in tight roads, and judging a gap with oncoming traffic. You know, am I going to fit in that gap or not? And sometimes I get it completely correct and I can fit through the gap. Other times I say, oh, I can't fit through the gap, I can't fit through the gap. And my instructor says, a bus could fit through that gap. And I'm like, well, okay, but, you know, to me, that gap seemed tiny. Yeah, I really struggle with that. Again, I think that is definitely my spatial awareness coming into play there. I've not got great depth or width perception. So, you know, a bus could well fit through that gap, but to me it doesn't seem possible. So I'm really trying to work on that. The other thing I struggle with is manoeuvres. Turning the road, I seem to be fine with that for some reason, but reversing round a corner and parallel parking and bay parking, I really am struggling with. You know, getting the car in between those two lines backwards. Why you have to do it backwards, I don't know, but I'm finding it really quite hard. And reversing round a corner, wow, I don't know who invented that manoeuvre, but let's just get rid of it, shall we? I mean, it's shocking, for God's sake. I just can't seem to get the hang of it. I get the hang of it and then I forget it the next week. So yeah, they're the things that I'm really struggling with when it comes to driving. However, I'm going to persevere with it. I'm not going to give up. I've had one test attempt, and if it weren't for the car that cut me up, I would have passed with 6 minor faults, so I know I can do it. I've just chosen to speak about it and speak about those few things that I've been struggling with and the experience that I've had with a certain instructor, because I want to sort of raise a little bit of awareness and let people know that it is okay when you are learning something new, especially a physical skill, and sometimes it can take a long time for you to get there. And you know, I've had people say to me, oh, just give it up, you're never going to get it. But actually, do you know what, I can drive, and if I gave up now, it would just, the whole thing would be for nothing. I've been deemed safe to drive on the roads. You know, my doctor has examined me and said there's no reason why, with the correct aids and the correct support, that you can't drive. You drive an automatic with steering aids and blind spot mirrors, you know, you would be able to do it. So yeah, the reason I've chose to spoke about it is just to let some of you guys know out there. I mean, I'm sure some of you are quite around the same age as me, maybe a bit younger or older, that have thought about, maybe I'll learn to drive, maybe I'll get a little car. Do you know what? Give it a go. It's took me 2 years. I've got a second test attempt next week. You know, I might pass, I might fail, it might take me 20 attempts, but I'm not going to give up, because I know I can do it, and it will support my independence massively. It will massively support my independence if I persevere with this and I see it through and I get my licence. I will be able to go so many more places. I'll be able to do so many more things than what I could do before. The other thing I'm struggling with, on one last note, is finding an automatic car for a reasonable price, and also one that I actually like. A third of car sales in the UK are automatic apparently, but I have not seen that reflected whenever I've gone to a car showroom. I don't want to be paying a car off for the next 20 years of my life, but it looks like that might be a possibility. But even with that, don't let it put you off, because I'm sure that the right car will pop along for me, and I'm sure that I'll get it. So if any of you are thinking about learning to drive, not just with cerebral palsy, but with any condition that you have, and you're worried that you may struggle with any of the things I've mentioned or anything else, just give it a go. You know, you've got nothing to lose, just give it a go. All the instructors have dual controls. They're not going to let you crash their car. You know, just give it a go, see how it goes. Any of you like me that are learning and you're getting fed up and you're getting annoyed because you don't think you're ever going to get it, just keep at it, guys. You know, you get there, and I know I'll get there. Yeah, it might take us a little bit longer, and you know, maybe I'll keep being scared of gaps I could fit through on the road that a bus can fit through, but you know, I'll have to be a bit more cautious when I do drive. So yeah, so that's the end of my second video. Again, me rambling on. You must, honestly, I don't know, it's madness. But yeah, I'm going to try and get some music in the next video, maybe some. Apparently YouTube has automatically given me subtitles. I'm not sure how I quite feel about that, but okay, I'll go with it. Yeah, my next video, bit of music. I'm going to get some pictures in there as well, because I really want to do travel hacks. So yeah, view guys, and subscribe. And if anyone again's got any questions, not weird ones please, like can I see your bare hands and feet? Someone asked me that. No, I just want to put it in there at the end. I'm a very open person, but I'm not showing you my feet. Unless there is an extremely valid reason why you want to see them. That's not weird. So, yeah. Again, any other requests, let me know and I will upload another video soon. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye guys.